Welcome everyone to episode 42 of Raw Sport. My name is Ahmed Al-Houli and we're back with another banger of a show. Tony, Sheen, how are you, buddy? How's things?
Good afternoon, Ahmed. And as we say each and every week, can't wait for our next guest.
Huge guest, one that's been on the show before. Every time he comes on, there's fireworks, we go viral. It's amazing.
The Richter scale goes off.
Thanks for having us on, Ahmed and Tony, once again, mate. It's always a pleasure being on the platform.
Mate, it's our pleasure. It's our utmost pleasure, mate. Some big news recently. The man who's held the sport in this country together for many years is stepping away. What's going on?
Oh, look, I mean, the last 3 years with health issues haven't been easy. And obviously, for the first time in my life, I've decided to take care of myself and the family. They've always been behind boxing for many years. I've always sort of looked after boxing over my family, which I needed to make move. I needed to make a move to make sure that I'd taken care of my health. I'm still in there getting tests at the moment of multiple different issues that I have. Whilst I'm good, feeling healthy, it's just a combination of one problem after another.
And you have an enormous supporter base. Would you mind elaborating on those health issues?
Look, it's obviously everybody's well aware that I had bowel cancer. So that was about 2.5 years ago. Following that, I had open heart surgery. Following that, I had two infections in my heart, just like Jeff Fennick has now. So they created complications. I got over them, and just recently had a stint where I couldn't walk. So I was hospitalised. Wasn't able to walk for 4 days. And during the testing process of me being in hospital for them 4 days, they found that I had a couple of aneurysms in the brain.
Wow.
And we're working through that at the present moment to see what's happening or how they can be controlled for the future.
Wow. And it's been a long journey. How have you seen the sport transition over your time? Do you feel like we're in a good place?
Look, I think generally we're in a good place, but I think the fact that we've got a couple of other platforms at the moment is certainly going to help boxing because fighters have opportunities to be seen on different platforms. I still really genuinely believe that the Channel 7 platform is the biggest because it's obviously you're able to tap in through every home in Australia, which is 27 million people. Whereas when you're looking at Fox Sports or Stan, they're limited by the people that are subscribing. So I think that the platform's bigger. It will take them many years to develop and probably put to the same place that the other platforms are. But I think the process will be long, but I think it will be worthwhile in the long run.
And you're the chairman and founder of Ace Boxing based out of Brisbane, Queensland. Can you tell all the Raw Sport fans where they can see some of your fights that have been displayed on the 7 Network?
Well, obviously, Channel 7 Plus, you can just tap into the Channel 7 Plus and you can go back to fights many, many years ago, rounds, particular rounds, fight of the night, fight of the year. There's virtually, you can go back into history there and have a look and see what you might want to revisit.
So doing this deal with 7 Plus, has that given you hope for the future of boxing and allowing you to remove yourself?
Look, I mean, obviously, I've taken that backward step. So we've got Glenn Hoskins, who's leading the way there with Stephen NG. We've got my son Alfie in the background that I'm hoping for him to take a step back dramatically. We've got Nathan, who obviously does commentary and does Beyond the Ropes. So
that's your son, Nathan?
That's also Nathan, yeah. So I'm hoping that both of them take a step back because them as well, they've been, obviously they've taken a lot of time away from their kids and families because of this sport. And I feel like in a lot of ways that I'm probably the reason they done that because they wanted to support me, but it's taken a lot of their time away from their loved ones.
Wow. And it's been quite the journey. What are your favourite moments? I'm sure you've got many of them. Take us back to ones that really stand out to you.
Oh, look, I don't think there's one favourite moment. What I do believe is when somebody overachieves, and I've had many of them moments where fighters have overachieved, you know, where generally speaking, when I sign a fighter, the first thing I ask is what do they want to achieve out of the sport? What do they want to get out of it? Sometimes it's just simply to keep their mind busy. One of the main reasons I entered boxing was because obviously both my boys were fighting, but the main reason was that I'd lost mum and dad in a short period, and it kept me focused on something that would take my mind away from my parents, losing them. So I think a lot of fighters are the same. I mean, we talk about a young kid by the name of Justin Frost. He keeps on coming to mind. You know, he fought in the front line in Afghanistan. Now, he found boxing because once again he wanted to not be thinking of what happened in the front line, and so that kept his mind busy. So, you know, fighters that come to me and said, "Oh, look, I just want to win a state title, I win a national title," and when they achieve that, to me, I've done my job. You know, some people say, "Look, I just want to make money out of the sport." Well, then obviously you've got to look for. They become opponents. Most of them become opponents. You know. Because the money's not in the sport until you've achieved a lot of things, you know, and that takes generally, the cycle is about 6 to 7 years from the day you enter the pro ring to getting to a world title. Now, we can look through history on all of our fighters, and generally speaking, we're talking a minimum of 6 and 7 years.
So what have you got out of it, Ange?
Just the fact that I've helped so many young men and women achieve their goals. I mean, really, that's what I feel that I've achieved, to be honest.
Relationships?
Many relationships. I've got many that I treasure, and many that I'll probably walk away from now because I've seen them as business relationships, right? Or transactional relationships. There's a lot of people in this sport that are willing to how can I say, deal with you, but the moment you turn your back, they're pretty quick to stab you in the back. You know, they're not they won't do it to your face, but behind your back. And they're the people that I'm well aware of who they are, and they're people that I'll start to push out of my life because they're the ones that have given me the stress and put me through the heartaches. So I'm slowly going to push them out.
There's probably a perception from the wider community and the outside of boxing that there are a few shifty people in the sport. How do you deal with them?
Oh, mate, simply, I think if you've got to go head to head with them, that's the way I've done it. And most people back down very quickly because the truth of the matter, most of them haven't got a spine. But because unless you're willing to confront somebody face to face, well, as far as I'm concerned, mate, they're not even worth what they say. You know, there's a lot of stuff being said all the time in this sport, but most of them won't back it up.
Wow. And any regrets? I had to ask you this one. So,
look, I've taken care of a few fighters that sort of I regret, and I won't mention any names, but obviously they're fighters that have been with me for long periods of time, and then obviously, you know, I found that I was used for a moment. You know what I mean? Whilst I was needed in the system, and that there's a lot of that. It's not only me. There's many other promoters, trainers that are in the same position, managers that are in the same position. It's the sport, and you just need to know who they are and where they are.
Ange, we know you've invested an enormous amount in people. What about from a financial perspective? Would your investment far outweigh what you've received?
Oh God, I haven't received anything, so it's been a big hole for me. So I could honestly say that I put millions of dollars into this sport. We're not talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're talking millions of dollars. in grooming fighters, sending them overseas for training camps, clothes, outfits, training camps, buying fighters in the sense that, paying for opponents well and above what they're worth just to get them, on the winning streak, for argument's sake. Sparring partners, Alfie's doing that at the moment. I think he's doing a training camp with Liam Parra at the moment. They've set aside $50,000 for a training camp. Yeah, I just spoke to him yesterday, and I think they'd already reached $30,000.
Wow.
So but that doesn't come out of my pocket. That's come out of Alfie's pocket. So it gives you an idea. The money rates up very quickly, especially when you're sending a young fighter over to, say, Vegas in a training camp. By the time you look at flights, accommodation, training fees, food, everything like that, it all adds up.
So Ange, what would these kids do without this investment? Because not many people are spending this sort of money.
Yeah, but you got to understand that there's other promoters that are helping in different ways, and that is just merely by giving opportunities to fighters, by putting them on their platform. That's a big thing. I don't think people understand. Too many managers out there at the moment is my belief, and not enough promoters. They're starting to come through. There's a lot more promoters coming through now. So there's obviously a lot more opportunities now for fighters. So everybody plays their part is what I see. Look, and obviously then you've got the promoters that have a pay-per-view platform. So they're in a much better situation than if you haven't got a pay-per-view platform, because they're able to help the fighters a little bit more than normal.
So outside of your sons, Ange, Alfie and Nathan, do you see yourself and anybody that is emerging in the boxing industry?
Are you talking about on a managerial, promotional?
Well, both. I mean, is there somebody out within Australia or even the rest of the boxing world that you turn around and say, well, he's got a bit in me, and you've sort of almost taken a shining to him?
Look, I said it right from the beginning when they first started promoting. I really feel strong about the Ellis boys. Okay, the Team Ellis is absolutely sensational in how they groom their fighters, they take care of their fighters, their sponsorship, the way they chase sponsorship, everything they do, in my eyes, is fantastic. In fact, they've taken our first show away from Brisbane will be in Melbourne on an Ellis show. You got to look at people like also Hisham. Hisham has put a lot of money, Hisham and Sean from Ultratune have put a lot of money into fighters, promotional teams, including myself, and have helped progress a lot of fighters. So, you got to appreciate people that also put money, not just time, into it. And so, yeah, I'd say at the moment, them two. I think Will Tomlinson is really doing a lot of great work. So I see him pushing through as one of the young fellas that it will emerge as one of the top promoters.
Wow. What's the sport missing?
I think what it has got at the moment that I don't like, I really don't like it. It's one of my pet hates, and that is press conferences. I'm really not in favour of press conferences, and the reason why is I've seen a lot of fighters underachieve, and I've had a few of mine and a few on other platforms that really, honestly, when you listen to them talk, like there's one that comes to mind. I won't mention his name because I won't embarrass him, but he fought one of my fighters. He got knocked out in the first round. Next time he was fighting on another platform, he was knocked out in the first round, and he was talking like he was the next world champion. Now, I think what happens there is that these fighters are trying to be somebody they're not. Now, I honestly believe that a lot of these press conferences should be left to fighters that are on the brink of a world title or at least world ranked, just like they are overseas. We're trying to emulate what they do in America and England and everything like that, but yet we're doing it with young novice kids that have only had 1 or 2 fights. And I'm saying I'm to blame for this as well, but you have to go with the times, and a lot of these fighters are wanting this because it's where they sell themselves, but I think it's doing them more harm than good, because I've seen quite a few of them underachieve because it's about the camera.
Have you expressed that to any of the companies that run the belts, i.e., WBC, WBA, IBF, etc.?
Look, I mean, they're really not interested. I mean, look, the truth of the matter is all the governing bodies, mate, all they're interested in is, sanction fees. You've got, for me, the two that stand out, the IBF, WBO, 2 organisations that really want to help young fighters move forward. And that's why I've always stayed close to them 2 governing bodies. They will help young men go through the ranks and try to keep them level-headed. I deal with Ben Kelty, and Ben is one of the good ones where he'll help young fighters through, willing to talk to young fighters and groom them so that it's not about TV. You know what I mean? It's about progressing slowly and getting to where you want to get eventually.
What does the sport mean now? We've got the networks, we've got these promoters coming through. What are we missing, mate?
I think one thing, look, obviously social media is big. We need to be pushing platforms like yours, like this platform here. You got Noonan Boys, who obviously I like what he does. I love what he does, and we need them platforms to be pushed. Australian Boxing Central, Oz Boxing, all of these platforms need to be pushed more. I think in the long run they'll overtake TV, and we're seeing that with DAZN and everything. They're a live stream, So this is what we need to be. There needs to be more of these talkback shows, to be honest.
Ahmed, cue the Jerry Maguire sound.
Show me the money. Oh, God. Yep. But that's the truth, yeah. Digital media is huge at the moment, Yeah. And we don't use it enough.
Do you believe there's enough organised development programs around the country to feed through talent?
No, we haven't got any at all, to be honest. Let's face it, we've got none. I mean, we've got, when we're talking amateurs, we've got the Australian Institute of Sport. Australian Institute of Sport is not
that's actually really doing.
Yeah, it's doing nothing for. In fact, yeah, young Nathan was in the Institute of Sport. After 11 months, we took him out. I thought the young Nathan went backwards in that institution, simply because they teach him one style and one style only. At the time they had a German leader there that was really didn't have an idea of the sport. No, he was just taking money off the Australians, and I really hated what he was doing for young fighters.
Ange, last week we had recently retired American UFC fighter Matt Brown on the podcast, and he was sensational. He turned around and he said the UFC's social media is probably the best of any company in the world.
Yeah, I mean, look, everywhere you look, you see them on social media, and I think if people learned the power of social media, we would start getting more people behind the sport. If you look at Ryan Garcia, Jake Paul, why are they the biggest people in our sport?
Yeah, 100%.
And that's what we've got. We don't understand that at the moment. I mean, let me tell you, when you start talking numbers, Fox Sports, Main Event, Stan, including the 7+. At the moment, 7+ is in a breeding process, right? But the other two will never have the numbers, as far as I'm concerned, or the numbers that you can get through social media.
Well, boxing should be at its peak, though. As Ahmed and I have discussed on previous episodes, we have Stan, we have 7+, and we have Fox and Main Event. So boxing should be nearing its peak.
But it's not. It's not, because you've got to understand that Fox Sports has virtually had a stranglehold on the sport for many, 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 many years. When you look at this, for me, when you look at the fact that News Corp, right, they never talk about anybody else's fighters, right? So if you're in the mix, they'll be talking about you during a fight night or whatever, right? Okay, but they're virtually, I'm telling you, closed down to talking about any other fighters that are on any other platform, right? Whereas I think if we all, like we just finished Beyond the Ropes, right? And all we do is have everybody on the show. Doesn't matter which platform they're connected to. The more people, the more eyes, the more platforms there are, the bigger the sport. Unfortunately, all most people care about is themselves. The moment we start thinking about everybody as a team, I think the sport will grow much bigger.
Did you speak to Fox Sports boss Steve Crawley and some of his underlings?
In the past, I'd spoken to them, but obviously now they're aligned to one promotional company, and that's fine. I don't know that they made the right decision, and that's not taking anything away from the No Limits brand. It's just the fact that it's simple. It doesn't work. I mean, if you've got a promoter that's able to produce a show that is high quality, well, then they should have equal rights to be able to put that show on that platform.
And we've seen in the States, in America, the social media networks have very good relationships with Top Rank and the different organizations. Why do we not see it here? I mean, we have, all the networks have offices here, but there's none of that here.
I'm not sure, to be honest. Look, talking about social media and that, let me tell you, when I went to watch Dempsey McKean fight in England, I think it was, and it was on a Matchroom card, mainstream media was very little. Very few people from mainstream media were there. I would say 80 to 90% of the people there were through a digital media platform.
Yeah, well, I think Eddie Hearn spent half of his DAZN budget growing his social media channels.
That's where it should be. Digital media is my opinion.
Literally, because once he got that deal, obviously Matchroom started doing all this crazy content non-stop. Money was getting sunk right in. Good on him, I mean, but it's just funny how he just went all in on socials, and he's smart. But I think the promoters and the platforms need a better relationship here, especially your TikToks and your Facebooks and your Instagrams. They're the ones that can really make a big difference with the growth of the sport. Like, for example, the AFL's got Google. They're very close with Google. I don't know why. I'd be more interested in Facebook. But anyway, I mean, that's what needs to happen more of here. And I'm surprised no one's done it. Maybe you guys can. I don't know.
Well, Ahmed, as you know, change is always hard to accept. And, we're starting to understand the power of digital media. We're starting to understand, but doesn't mean that we're accepting it. And that's the issue that we have here. But personally, you go out and approach sponsors, for argument's sake, for a platform. I think if you've got digital media and that platform there, where on Facebook and all these, I think that's a bigger platform than what TV is.
Wow, but
do you agree?
I agree with you, but I think the brands are still stuck in the whole TV mode. I think the brands.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Change is hard to accept, and that's the issue we have here.
Absolutely. Well, there you go. All right, Ange. I mean, you've always been very generous with your time with us, and we absolutely very grateful and thank you for all the times you've come on and all the hard work you've put in over the years and made this sport possible for many kids who probably would have not had a future anyway. This sport saved many kids, mate, and just want to let you know that you've been a part of that, mate. You've saved many kids. In my belief, I know of some stories myself. We just want to thank you from myself, Tony. And before we let you go, do you have any parting words for us?
Just honestly, no, not at all. Just thank you for what you do, and obviously it's a big part in helping some of these young men stay positive in life. Young men and women, sorry, stay positive in life. So continue to do that, and yeah, thank you very much for giving us the platform.
Angelo, I have one more quick one before you go. You're incredibly close with four-time world champion Jeff Fennick. How is his health?
Yeah, at the moment, I was just talking to him last night again. He's on the mend, preparing for his big 6-0 birthday. So, yeah, no, he's on the mend. Obviously, he's in the same situation as me. Obviously, since we both had open heart, it hasn't been easy. So some open hearts work well and some have problems later on in life. And that's what's happened to him. He's had a second open heart surgery. He's got an infection again. So they're battles that he's going to have to fight for a long time, just as myself. I mean, it's never easy because your life changes completely, as far as I'm concerned. And sometimes for the better, most of the time for the better, but sometimes there's reoccurring issues.
We wish Australia's Bob Arum all the best for his retirement.
Thank you very much, guys.
And a very speedy recovery.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the platform.
No problem, mate.
Yeah, God bless.
Thank you, everyone. We'll catch you all in the next episode of Raw Sport. Take care, everyone. See you later.